Oh man, here they come again.
Here they come again. This still has skin on the skull.
There is a layer of sediment, kind of. It's actually like hyper condensed, like salt water. So it's actually like almost like a thick slurry of salt that sits on it because the thermal vents on the bottom of the ocean are heating it up, but it gets colder than it hits warm. So it literally looks like dirt. If you watch, there's videos of eels that'll venture in. There'll be dead stuff floating in that layer. Mm-hmm. And you'll see eels that'll brave it and try to grab something out of there. If they spend just a couple seconds too long, they die of toxicity. So it's extremely poisonous to all forms of life.
Whoa. There you go.
So yeah, that would be a hard barrier between. But for the Puerto Rican cave, you just reminded me, Juan, is that it's one of the largest cave systems in the world. And it's absolutely banned from human exploration.
Mm-hmm.
And it got banned during the Puerto Rican chupacabra outbreak in the 90s.
Really?
And they were, yeah.
And they're artificial caves too, because they have a ton of artificial tunnels that they've made, the government, that are abandoned. And there's videos. Yeah. And I've tried to get a contact. The guy only speaks Spanish. Trying to get in contact with this guy who went viral for going into one of these systems, and it's just miles and miles and miles of tunnels that the government was like, yeah, we used them, and then we don't use them anymore. It's like
essentially Puerto Rico's hollow. It really is, because it's like the tip of this ancient limestone chunk of rock. And same with Florida, and same with the island chain. You know, they're pretty much eroding away, and that's just what's left is this corpse of an old mountain range, essentially.
Wow, that's wild.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you guys a question about this this claim that they were kids. So I've been trying to kind of take all the information in about this thing and, you know, try to logically look at stuff. One, I would say, I don't think, so like we kind of hit on this a little bit earlier. If something happened, they wouldn't tell us anyways, right? So so we can kind of put that on the table. What the police and all these officials saying that, you know, nothing happened. Well, if something did happen, they would say nothing happened anyways. But when it comes to, like, say, the fireworks angle, could that be an explanation as to why they would shut down airports and flights? Just thought that, you know, if their thought is that, say, there's 50 kids, but they don't know approaching the scene, that there's all they know is there's a lot of people shooting off fireworks at different people and things like that. Terroristic ideas start circulating around the responders, and all of a sudden, like, ground all aircraft until we figure out what's going on here, because we don't want anything getting shot at planes. Just trying to be devil's advocate with that thought.
Yeah, I thought of that too, Tony. You could punch enough holes in this thing that, to me, I'm kind of, I don't know, you take it or leave it. It's not definitive enough for me to just stand behind and be like, no, I'm going to die on this hill that those were aliens. But you're right. Look at how they handled the Phoenix Lights. You had the largest witnessed UFO event in history, and they made a whole spectacle of it. The governor, Fife Symington, came out and made a joke about it and offended all these people. And then years later, he comes out and he's like, yeah, man, they told me to do that. And it's like, dude, like, I don't know why anyone would just trust. What's that?
He was in the alien suit. He comes out in the alien suit. Was that guy?
Yeah, he had a guy in an alien suit come out. But yeah, so it's like, you know, and that's what I was saying, is that a lot of people, and a good example of this is, look at the Epstein files came out, right? Mm-hmm. And the mainstream media is kind of talking about it. All these people are talking about it. Then Cat Williams comes out the next day and he does a whole thing where he's airing out celebrities in Hollywood. And people believe Cat Williams, right? Like, more people are tuning into Cat Williams. At least this is from my perspective, and maybe how I feel. I'm more tuned into what I want to hear what Cat Williams has to say versus what Fox and CNN want to tell me is in the Epstein files, or, you know, and not to mention, like, I don't believe, like, okay, they gave us some filtered, I'm sure they're not going to give us all this damning information on the Epstein files anyway. So it's like, nobody trusts those things that much. So I don't know. We're just in a weird place right now where people got this sort of weird red pill the last few years, and there's a battle to sort of guide all these people, and everyone's fighting to get them down their path, you know, and you know, I kind of try to observe and see what's going on, but it's really hard to know what's happening. But it is interesting that there are a lot of rational reasons. Like you say, they're fireworks. It's like, well, that could have easily been mass shooting, you know? I mean, they could have thought that was mass shootings. It's not like that doesn't happen here.
Everybody in Florida has a gun.
Yeah, like that's very possible that was just the police reacting, but I still think like that's still a lot of damn police.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
No, I
just
agree.
seems
I mean,
odd.
like there's so many things
lot.
that kind of put it like as that's a little excessive. You know,
Right.
and
Yeah, because look at Uvalde. How many the videos I've seen? It didn't look like there was that many cops there, and that was a
Right.
obviously a horrific thing. I don't know.
yeah,
The first story they like pushed publicly was it was 4 teenagers in the mall with sticks and some fireworks causing it. They cut power. They shut down the airports. They cut power to 6 blocks. All these people are running video, and all those videos disappeared really fast. And then immediately, like a day and a half later, the police walk it back, and they say, no, it was actually 50 teenagers in the mall. We did not cut the power. And the police just came out. I just either seen this morning or yesterday night of recording this, that they said, no, we did not shut down any air traffic. No airspace was shut down. So they went from saying they did do all this to they didn't do all of this within a 2-day period.
and isn't there like actual proof that they did? There's some kind of like
you
can look that stuff up.
Yeah, they definitely did, but they went back there. So they're trying to backpedal that enough. A lot of the videos of these teens fighting, where some of them were really old videos, like, there's groups of teenagers fighting. You can find videos of groups of teenagers fighting and push it. One of the teens that kind of got blamed for it said that he was like just in his car and a beer bottle got thrown. So he stepped out and he got arrested on the, saying that he was one of the ones lighting off fireworks. That was one of the kids they said they had arrested, because they said they arrested like 6 or 7 of the quote unquote perpetrators of this. So they already backtracked. There's, I think it was yesterday morning. So that would be, what is it today? So that'd be Saturday. They said they did not shut down traffic control, and they did not cut the power. And you could see where there's videos of them cutting the power, because it's just blink.
And
all this stuff goes black.
Yeah, and there's other things that have kind of popped up over time here with this as well that just kind of make you think, okay, maybe what is actually going on here? Because did you guys see the video of the, I don't know, guy, I don't know how old he is, but he called his dad, who's actually running for sheriff in Miami.
Yeah.
And his dad's like, I can't talk about it. What do you mean you can't talk about it, bro? Like what do you?
It looks staged to me, Tony.
You think that looks staged? But if you look at
your dad,
from what I understand, if you look up that guy, like it's literally his dad who's running.
It's him.
Yeah. Like, anyways, but there's this lady who came out a few days ago. She's got over 600,000 followers on X, and she does like Bitcoin and different things. Like, she's not in this space. And she came out and recorded a video, released it on X, saying that she was in Miami in her car when all this was going on. And she retells her story of how it all went down from her perspective. She wasn't in the mall. So like, if you're thinking like somebody wants to be part, like grifting off this, you're putting yourself in the mall. I was there. This is what I saw. She said, I wasn't in the mall. I was in my car. Now, remember, this lady has a huge following. So it's not like it's not like she needs any, like she has more followers than all of us combined. And so she says she's in her car and she hears the siren. She sees the police. She gets out. She asks somebody who was absolutely frantic about what was going on. And the person that she talked to said there were creatures in the mall. And so she's like, this person's like crazy, so let me find somebody else. But she gets her phone out, and she said the police came running over to her right away and shut down the phone thing. They're like, no phones. And so like and then she also said that, and now remember, she was in her car, she gets out. So I don't know how far away she is from the scene. She's in the area, but I take it she's not very close. And she says that she saw something that wasn't human. She doesn't know what it was. She was very vague on it. It wasn't like she was trying to give details. She's just like, whatever I saw, it wasn't human. And so when you hear things like that, I just sit back and I'm like, just knowing that if something happened, they wouldn't tell us anyways. I'm thinking, for me, and maybe it's because I want to believe, I'm like, something happened in Miami, and and I want to go find out.
If 300 cop cars showed up to anywhere else in the country, that's a terrorist attack.
Yeah.
I mean, that's that kind of level of stuff, or somebody's blowing something up. Like, it's that crazy. And then they're just saying it was now 50 teenagers with sticks. That's
technically they would be terrorists if they're from another dimension.
Well,
right?
here's the best part too. there's been a whole mix up of the days as well. So what they're saying is it happened on the 2nd, but footage of kids fighting actually happened on the 1st. And now the police reports went from the 2nd to now the 1st today. As a matter of fact, I looked at the one you sent over to me, Justin. They moved it to the 1st. Yes. So there was an incident that happened in a close by area, but not at the mall. And there were people that were filming it. They're merging it into this first date and saying, oh, this is when it happened. So they're muddling the truth. So again, I'm with all you guys. We don't know. We really don't, but we do know they're lying. I think that's one thing that everybody here can agree is that they're not telling us what happened, no matter what it was. Even if it had nothing to do with entities or aliens or whatever, something went down there that they don't want us knowing about. And then, as being, conspiratorial minded as everybody here is, our minds are going to start working overtime because we're now going to try to put the pieces together of what actually happened. And if they're not going to tell us the truth, then honestly, people's minds are going to, go wild. We're going to go to the furthest place possible, then, maybe reel back in.
And I love that. Yeah. And by the way, I love that.
And they're okay with that because the reason why I don't think they tell us the truth is because they don't have the full answers. And if you come out and say, hey, there's this thing, but we don't really know anything about it, that looks supposedly weak. Whereas, open-minded free thinkers like us would probably say, well, I respect that. Yeah, let's figure out what this is. That is weird. But they look at it, it's why politicians lie. They got to look like they got it all under control. And look, everyone, you're safe and secure with me. And they can't tell you the truth because they don't know the truth. And another angle of this is in Freemasonry, the 33rd degree, which is the highest degree of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry. There's a motto they use called Ordo ab Chaos, means order out of chaos. And, Bill Cooper, again, my red pill daddy, he had a whole 30-hour series called Mystery Babylon. And he talked about Order ab Chaos. And he said, this isn't strictly a Freemason thing. This goes back to ancient cults from hundreds of years ago. And they knew that if you wanted to seize power and to really control people, you have to instill enough fear and chaos that people are begging for order. They want the order. So you promote this idea of chaos. And this is what Ronald Reagan was talking about when back in 87, he was at the UN and he said, oh, I wish there was an alien threat. We could all band together. He was saying it out loud because he's an idiot. And this is what these globalists think. They're trying to promote, because I take it to a spiritual realm. I think there's a spiritual battle. It's the age-old story. I don't know of any other rationale for why all this weird stuff is happening. I think that they believe in this concept called the great work. They have to do whatever it takes to instill this Luciferian global government. And I don't know precisely what that looks like. I just know that that's the angle of they think Lucifer is really the real God to them. And they want to make this utopia fantasy world that will actually be a living hell. And this goes, and I'm not the first one to say this stuff. Go back to there's an Orthodox monk named Father Seraphim Rose. He was telling us this in the 60s. He wrote a book called Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future. And if you read that, you'll be complete convert red pill, because you're like, dude, this guy knew what was going on. In the 60s, he talks about how science fiction is here to manipulate us in the entertainment world because they're all pushing occult new age ideas because there's an end game for them. And it was followed like a script for the last 60 years. And it all makes sense when you understand the occult perspective of making contact with aliens and Jack Parsons and Crowley and all these wackadoodles. Because I say they're wackadoodles, but I do think that their practices are authentic, meaning that they do work. And I think that's why people like the Collins elite in the Pentagon, they've been studying this as well for all these years. And that's what kills me is the gaslighting was just a couple of years ago. They said, okay, we've been researching UFOs. We called ATIP and, it wasn't really fruitful. It's like, dude, you guys are so bad at lying. Like, you've been doing this since Project Sign and Grudge and Blue Book. You guys have been doing all this stuff.
Net and didn't get any of them.
Yeah. And so what you're talking about, Isaac, to quote, so this is C.W. Ledbetter, which I know you know that from the Theosophical Society. He's making a comment on Crowley, because you just mentioned Crowley and how their systems work. We know this. Like I do believe that the occult is a real thing, and I do believe that they're tapping into forces that are not understood, not misunderstood, but not understood because we don't know. And he's talking about, this is in 1894, and he's commenting on Crowley describing entities by Crowley as certain vast stars or aggregates of experience. So he's talking about the great old ones, the deep ones, the outer ones, right, outside of space and time. And Ledbetter in 1894 says, and this is from Beyond the Mob Zone by Grant. He goes, if we ever do come in contact with them, it will most probably be on the purely physical plane. For in any case, their connection with our astral plane is of the slightest, since the only possibility of their appearance there depends upon an extremely improbable accident and an act of ceremonial magic, which fortunately only a few of the most advanced sorcerers know how to perform. Nevertheless, that improbable accident has happened at least once, and may happen again. So this is 1894, C.W. Ledbetter of the Theosophical Society, talking about coming in contact with these entities, maybe perhaps through ceremonial magic, right? The world's a stage. A lot of these things seem staged, and so I think that plays a role into it, but it could happen on accident too. They might just pop in. Hey, how you doing? Oh, we're at a mall. Let me go buy some new Nikes or something like that, right? And then
I think Ledbetter was part of the sex magic push. Sorry, what, Joel? Right to you. But sex magic is the idea that you can open these gateways to these deeper processes of below conscious thought. Mm-hmm. And I think Ledbetter and the Theosophical Society were pushing that. Sorry, Joel, go ahead.
No worries at all. So it made me think you were just talking about projects, and I wanted to bring up today Project Bluebeam, because I know that this is a huge buzzword in the community. It has been for the past 4 years, and honestly, it's being used incorrectly, mostly by people online. Anytime they see something that they think is fake or whatever, they will respond with a comment with just 2 words, Bluebeam. And most of these people don't really understand in context of what Bluebeam actually is. Serge Monast and Omar Falali actually wrote the book. It wasn't even a book. It was more of a paper. They wrote several books together. Oddly enough, the two died 2 weeks apart in 1996, both with heart attacks, and neither of them had any heart condition. So that was a real strange thing. So I do think that Serge Monast was onto some stuff for sure. When most people hear the words Bluebeam, they think holographic images that are projected to trick us into seeing something that's not there, or an alien invasion. But actually, when Serge wrote it, though, he broke it down because it was a NASA program, and there were 5 different aspects to this program. And the first one was an engineered earthquakes and hoax discoveries. So apparently there's going to be, according to him, earthquakes, and these discoveries that they find all across the earth will show us that the religions of the past don't exist, and it will move our minds into a state of accepting something new. Something I've heard you say, Isaac, a lot in the past is the new religion's what? The no religion, right? So that's something that you've always said, and that really rang true to me when we're looking at this whole Bluebeam thing and where we're moving in this spiritual warfare that's going on, because the next step is the big space show in the sky. He doesn't talk about UFOs, though, really, except it being them trying out new things and maybe showcasing UFOs as them working on the equipment. But really, the entire operation is built on a second coming of Christ, or some sort of God, whatever God that is in the vicinity that you're in culturally, will be represented in that area. And everyone will coincide all at once and realize that this entity or these aliens or whatever are here to lead us into the future. I don't think that alien sightings, or even if the thing in Miami is real, that I don't think they're going to be fake like that. I think that when these entities are revealed, and Juan was just talking about it, them being in the physical realm, if they're in the physical realm, I think that if Bluebeam is used as it's supposed to be used in the Serge Monast document, that Blue beam is actually to move us away from God and move us into a place to be controlled more by whatever entities that they bring in as gods to us. So I do think that these entities will be revealed. I think we're going to see them. And I sadly think the people that think everything's fake are going to be wholly deceived when this actually happens, because they won't know what to do, because they won't know how to accept what's in front of them. I call them the geopolitical conspiracy theorist only. They only believe in this geopolitical realm of control, and they don't see how that the occult is highly connected to politics, highly connected to the entertainment industry. These people believe it. Listen, you don't have to believe it, but they act on what they believe. And if they do that, they will control you. And if you're not aware, at least somewhat, of what's going on, you're going to be deceived in the end.